I'm saying, let us give our people an opportunity to voice their feelings, their aspirations about land. Land remains a deep wound that was inflicted on our people. Let our people go through their healing process and deal with the issue of land as effectively as they want to. So let us engage in dialogue. Mr. Maimane, allow our people to express their views, and once that process is done, we will then, with the hindsight of wisdom that will have come from our people, we will then be able to take a decision. Right now, we have a constitutional construct that has set in motion various processes and indeed various principles. Our people are saying, we want this wound to heal. Let us address this wound and let us listen to our people because they are talking. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honourable President. The first supplementary question is to be asked by the Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Sorry, Chair.
Yes.
Point of order. I noticed that the Deputy President looks very tired. He's been in and out of sleep for a while, so I thought maybe the President could take him for a walk outside.
No, Honourable Member.
10 minutes.
No, Honourable Member, that's not the point of order. We can't allow the President to leave the podium now. He's busy answering questions. Honourable Maimane.
Thank you, House Chairperson. Honourable President, I think I must affirm this point, talking about wounds of our past, that in the Constitution of the DA is adopted a value of fairness. It is an explicit acknowledgement that our country remains unequal on the basis of race. And I think every member who sits here, black or white, stands committed to addressing that injustice. And I feel it's critical that when we enter this discussion, it cannot be on the basis of putting one race versus another. It ought to be on the basis of all races working together to address that injustice. Having said that, I welcome your input on the input South Africans have made. I want to speak specifically about the one you made in the UK, where you spoke to a newspaper and affirmed the fact that the land reform processes of any future will be implemented, will happen within the parameters of the Constitution. But my challenge is this, Mr. President, is that there are statements that are made by members of your NEC. And I want to quote Mr. Ronald Lamula, who says, in fact, without doubt, this is in a nationally televised debate, he says, the commitment to expropriate without compensation doesn't only refer to farms, but that the ANC is explicitly targeting urban residential properties for seizure, he says. Now, what I'm trying to understand, Mr. President, is that overseas we defend the Constitution, but in South Africa it seems it's open for negotiation. Can you explain to us what is the policy of your party so that we get certainty as to whether we will defend the Constitution, or is Mr. Lamula right in that it's property seizures? Which is it exactly, Mr. President? Thank you very much.
The Honourable President.
Thank you, Honourable House Chair and Honourable Maimane. Thank you very much. The process that we have started here, which really was given rise to by the resolution of the governing party in December, when it resolved that we need to address this whole issue of land reform through the mechanism of expropriating land without compensation. It's clearly a process which, having been embraced by this House, is going to lead to an outcome. An outcome, Mr. Maimane, which I am sure you are going to be part of, as you are part of this House. We are now currently involved in this very process. Now, clearly, the policy of the governing party is very clear. We need to move on with land reform and restore the dignity of our people. But for me, more importantly, to look at land with new eyes, as it were, to look at land as an economic resource, an economic resource that was taken away by force from the majority of our people, to restore that economic resource into the hands of our people so that they can have a livelihood, they can have an economic capability which is going to improve their lives. And the Freedom Charter is very clear on this. And it says, as early as 1955, our forebears complained about this and said, or raised an aspiration, or articulated an aspiration, and said that the land shall be shared amongst those who work it. And therefore, we want that land to be shared amongst our people. Our people must be able to share the land. And I'd like those who say that the land must not be shared to stand up and say, we are not prepared to share the land. I want those to stand up and say so, because that is the most important. And if you like, that is the most reasonable demand from our people. And they are not saying, we want the land to the exclusion of everyone else. They are saying, we want the land, as it was said by our forebears in 1955, to be shared amongst who work it. Now, if we come to urban land, indeed, there is land there that has been kept away from our people, and they are in need of housing. And they don't want to eat the land. They don't want to abuse the land. They want to utilize the land to have houses. And those who say that our people must not have houses must stand up and say, we do not want you to have houses. Because that is the most important demand that poor people are making. And our job, our task is to respond to the needs of our people. We have to respond, and we've got, Mr. Maimane, to find ways and means. The mayor of Johannesburg has been taking buildings that are derelict, buildings that owe quite a bit of money. He's been taking them, and he's been taking them without any form of compensation and transforming them into living abodes for our people. And if that is not true, that is something that needs to be looked at. That our people need housing, and we need to respond to housing and share living abodes. Those who do not have houses must also have houses. Those who do not have land must also have land, and therefore land must be shared amongst our people. And that is a demand, Mr. Steenhuisen, that is a demand that will never go away. For people who think that the issue of land in South Africa will be swept under the carpet, I say, wake up, my friend, smell the coffee. It is not going to happen. Our people want the land. So our task, and I want to repeat what I said earlier, even for those who are seeking to go around the world to mobilize the international community against their own country, I want to say to you, come back home. Come back home, let us sit around the table, let us find a solution on this issue of land. Our people have shown the best form that they have to make submissions. They have come forward, they've put submissions on the table. Let us engage with those submissions. In the end, the decision that will be taken on this issue is going to be a decision that will be owned by all of us, and it will be born out of dialogue, it will be born out of consensus seeking, and it is the type of decision that will take this country forward. This country is ready to take off. Let us use land to make South Africa move forward. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Honourable President. The next supplementary question.
Izwela me,